and then decided that, you know what, education has really always been in her heart, and she wanted to switch paths. So for the past couple of years, she has been engaged in the Teachers of Tomorrow program, which is an online program that you do your education coursework, and then you're issued a interim teaching certificate. So she has her interim, or her initial interim pre-K3 teaching certificate, and then she will do work very closely with a mentor in the Teachers of Tomorrow program, as well as a mentor within our program at Williamston, to complete and get that standard pre-K3 certificate. She is a familiar face because she has been at the Discovery Building Sub for the probably past 2.5 years. Thank you, Cassie. So she's already had a wonderful mentor, really understands the growth mindset and the high standards that we have at Williamston. She engaged in that rigorous interview process that we do with all of our candidates. So her knowledge came through about early childhood, and then really her respect, love, and passion for young children came through during the lesson. Her read aloud was really packed with great instructional strategies for literacy, comprehension, book knowledge, concepts of print. So her references talk about her dependability, her willingness to learn and incorporate that feedback into her skills. So it is with confidence that I bring forth this recommendation for hire.
Any questions for Rebecca? All right, since we do have many candidates, we will go through one by one, and then at the end, we will get up as board members and congratulate each and every one of you. But after motions and things like that, if candidates do have something that they would like to say, they can certainly approach the podium and do that at that time. Otherwise, I will ask for a motion to hire.
I move that the Williamston Community Schools Board of Education hire Ms. Haley Dale to be a Little Hornets GSRP lead teacher beginning with the 2026-27 school year.
Second. Motion by Deb, second by Heather. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, congratulations. Did you want to say anything? No. Okay. We will come and congratulate you formally in just a moment. Next, we have Cassie Vander.
Hi, it is with great pleasure that I introduce Ms. Kayla Robinson for a recommendation for hire as a first grade teacher at Discovery. Kayla was part of an extensive interview process that had 3 rounds, one including a small group literacy lesson with several members from our Discovery team, including the first grade team. Right away, we were very impressed with Kayla's vibrant personality, the energy and passion that she brought not only to the interview but also to her lesson. A vast variety of skills in teaching foundational literacy skills, which is a big part of our first grade curriculum. We were also very impressed with her commitment to creating relationships with students and her experience that she's bringing here from Williamston. So Kayla is coming with 5 years of teaching experience in both kindergarten and first grade from Lapeer Community Schools. When speaking with her references, Kayla's colleague described her as a rock star. And when I spoke with her current principal, or former principal, just said that she is incredibly talented and a very passionate educator that has a ability to just help students flourish socially and emotionally in their classroom, and has a strong ability to make a positive culture and climate in the classroom. So we are just really excited to welcome her to our team.
Any questions for Cassie? All right, I will take a motion.
Move that the Williamston Community Schools Board of Education hire Ms. Kayla Robinson to be a teacher beginning with the 2026-2027 school year.
Second.
Motion by Dave, second by Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then we have Chris Armour with the high go with 2 applicants.
Good evening.
Hello.
I am enthusiastically recommending for your approval the employment of Miss Marley Stansberry for a teaching position. Her 26-27 assignment will be split special education between the high school and the middle school. Professionally, Marley has previously worked in Fowlerville and most recently at Howell Middle School, where she was a resource teacher and has experience with a co-teaching push-in model. Marley had outstanding references. All individuals I talked with had similar core themes, and they were: Marley has a great heart, passion for helping students succeed, and a very positive attitude all the time. One said they've never seen her not smile. Her decisions and planning in her classes were always student-focused and based on individual student goals and needs that she was working with. She does an outstanding job building relationships with students. She's also proactively builds that bridge and connection to parents and families, which we know is very important. She's a team player and is able to work well and mesh with various staff, which is important in her role. Finally, she always wants to improve and she takes feedback to heart. Out of a highly competitive application pool, our joint high school and middle school hiring committee selected Marley, and we are excited to have her join the Hornet family this school year. I highly recommend the Williamston Board of Education hire Miss Marley Stansberry for our open special education position.
Great. Any questions? All right, I'll take a motion.
I move that the Williamston Community Schools Board of Education hire Ms. Marley Stansberry to be a teacher beginning with the 2026-2027 school year.
Second.
Motion by Heather, second by Deb. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you want to say anything?
Just that I look forward to getting to know everybody, and I'm excited to be a part of such a meaningful community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Welcome. All right, and Chris, you're still there.
I'm still here. You sure?
Yes.
I am also enthusiastically recommending for your approval the employment of Mr. Carlos Villegas for our teaching position. His 26-27 assignment will be the Spanish teacher at Williamston High School. Carlos holds a master's degree in Spanish language from Central Michigan University and an ABD in Hispanic Culture Studies from Michigan State University. Professionally, Carlos has taught over 10 years at the college level, and for the last 6 years he was at Lumen Christi, where he taught Spanish 1 and Spanish 4 classes. Carlos also has study abroad experiences in Chile and Spain. Mr. Villegas is a native Spanish speaker, and he also brings a unique cultural experiences and perspective into the classroom, which is going to enhance student learning. During the interview process, Carlos had exceptional classroom presence during his sample lesson, and he was able to get students to participate, smile, and enjoy the lesson without knowing any of the students. Mrs. Idy even commented there were students that never talked in her class, and he got to talk while he was in there. Carlos had also had great references. All individuals shared similar experiences and thoughts, which they were: Carlos is very engaging with his lessons, and he's built very strong, genuine relationships with students in his classes. Students in his classes showed real growth with the Spanish language, and all references mentioned that Carlos is an outstanding person in general, and he's always willing to help the school any way that he could. Our high school hiring committee unanimously selected Carlos, and we are excited to have him join the Hornet family this school year. I highly recommend the Williamston Board of Education hire Mr. Carlos Villegas for our open Spanish position.
Any questions? All right, I will take a motion.
I make a motion that the Williamston Community Schools Board of Education hire Mr. Carlos Villegas Castaneda to be a teacher beginning with the 2026-2027 school year.
Second.
Motion by Amanda, second by Heather. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. Did you want, oh, no. All right, and then Rebecca is here to introduce Carly.
Hello. So back in June, I did a recommendation for Ms. Carly Ostrander for our speech and language pathologist in the early years, and thank you to the board for that approval. Today, I just wanted to come back and introduce her to give a face to the name and for her to be able to meet the board. Just another quick overview, she is a graduate of Central Michigan University, obtaining that Bachelor's of Science in Communication Services and Disorders with a minor in Disability Studies. I do have to read that because that's a long one, as well as her master's in Speech and Language Pathology from Central Michigan University. So her most recent employment was through Claire Gladwin, RSED, and that position is what really drew us to really had her stand out in the interview process at Williamston, is that she really did work across multiple programs with multiple ages. And balancing that early childhood, multiple classrooms, multiple programs, multiple schools is a feat, and she really did it well. Her references really spoke highly about her. This, for the 26-27 school year, she's going to be working with Little Hornets. She's going to be working with the Young Fives in Discovery, as well as the non-public.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I've been so incredibly welcome.
And then Chris, back to introduce the assistant principal at the high school. Tim.
Hello again. I would like to just take a minute to introduce you to our new high school assistant principal, Mr. Tim Stanley. I know you already have officially hired him and you've looked at the recommendation letter and all that, so you know a little bit about him, but it's always good to put a name to the face. Tim has over 25 years of administrative experience in the Boise School District. When going through the hiring process, he instantly stood out to our committee as a very calm and collected demeanor, and his ability to make connections with the two different hiring groups was outstanding. He was very genuine during the interviews, he still is. And you could feel his passion for supporting teachers and students in that process. It was evident that Mr. Stanley built strong relationships with staff and students. He's very detail-oriented, and he's focused on building a strong school culture during his time in Boise. Over the last couple weeks, while Tim has been working here, I can confirm his passion for working in the high school setting, and I haven't run him off yet, which is good. He builds a genuine connections with all the people that he's met in the building, and he's going to be a major asset and a veteran administrator on our high school team. As we enter the school year, I'm excited to have Mr. Tim Stanley join the Hornet family as the high school assistant principal. And he's told me he's practiced a speech too.
I'm just really excited to be here, and the more I get to meet people in the community and some of the teachers and now the students, I get more excited every day, and just everybody you talk to in this community, even outside of it, speaks so highly of the school and the community, and I've really never seen a community embody the school and the school embody the community as much as it has here. So I'm excited to get started and feel more thankful every day that I'm here.
Well, thank you so much. Welcome. All right, now we can all get up and thank all these new wonderful hires for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, great to meet you.
Thank you. Absolutely. You haven't scared me out yet. Yeah.
Hello again, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hello again.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Great to meet you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so excited. So excited.
Yeah, don't miss Carlos.
I graduated.
All right, thank you, everyone. We look forward to seeing you on opening day. Thank you. All right, now we can come to citizen comment. which I see none. So we will hop right into celebrations. Adam?
Good evening, board members, and welcome to our first meeting of the 2026-27 school year. You know, it seems like to me, just wrapped up 25-26, but here we are back again. So looking forward to getting it going here in the very near future. So just a couple updates or a couple celebrations on the website. Continue to post as many photos as I can of summer projects, bond projects. So there is a story. There it is, kind of hiding.
Sorry, we're working on it.
That I published last month, I think, just kind of, again, highlighting some of the projects that were going on and trying to make sure that the community is getting updates in terms of bond progression, but then also some of the non-bond funded summer projects that were taking place and are getting close to finishing up here this week. Next meeting, Brandon Weingartz, our Director of Facilities and Operations, will be in to give a complete overview of summer work, which, as you'll hear then, has been extensive. There's also a short story on commencement. I know that was a long time ago, but I think that went in at the end of June, so I don't think I shared that yet with the board at one of these meetings, so that was posted as well. Just a few photos that I borrowed from the LSJ. Outside of the website, a couple other things to highlight. First of all, as you know, the spring was extremely busy. It was the most significant administrative turnover we'd had since I think my first and second year in this role, and so that was a significant challenge with a lot of positions to fill. Those are always challenging, and yet also there's always a great opportunity that comes with them. And I think you've been able to see some of the outstanding candidates that we were fortunate to draw May, June, July, and then even this evening. So I feel really good about the admin team going into the year. Obviously, a lot of people are going to be learning their jobs. And I've already kind of talked to myself internally about having to slow down and make sure that, that everyone's keeping up and understands all the acronyms we use and, the different terminology and the different systems that we have in place here. But I feel really good about the group and looking forward to working with them this year. In the boardroom, just a couple aesthetic updates since we last met. We do have our Green School badge posted up on the back wall, and we also put up a photo of the new tennis court facility. So we'll continue to add additional frames for new awards and some highlights of our bond projects as those get constructed to decorate the room. And then lastly, just looking forward to opening day on Monday. Board members should have received an introductory letter. If you didn't get it today, you'll probably get it tomorrow. I know mine showed up today. That has the calendar for the year, your board goals, handout, as well as an introductory letter for myself that has the timeline for opening day, which is Monday at 8 a.m. in the Commons and Courtyard at the high school. Pending any questions, those are celebrations for this evening.
Any questions for Adam? I did just want to say about opening day. It does start at 8 o'clock, and it is, Adam likes to keep a strict schedule of events. So if you wanted to get there early and maybe welcome staff as they come in, you're more than welcome to do that. Of course, it's not a requirement that you attend. However, if you are able to, I know our staff loves to see board members come, even if it's just for a couple minutes, and then you have to get off to appointments, work, whatever you have for your agenda that day. Like I said, don't feel like you have to move things around, but if you can attend, that would be nice. All right, we do not have educational updates, so superintendent's report.
Next upcoming meeting, or the next board meeting, will be on the 24th of August. As I mentioned, Mr. Weingartz will be here to present the update on summer projects. There's no committee meeting scheduled as of today. And then moving into bond projects. So a lot going on with those, and I was actually really happy with how the majority of those have wrapped up here. And there were a couple points this summer where I was a little concerned, and they were able to move things forward, and I think we're in pretty good shape for staff coming back on Monday and kids coming back on Wednesday. So just to hit the highlights, I think flooring, we have another update meeting with Chris Min and our other partners tomorrow. But as far as I've been able to tell walking around the district this week so far and last week, I think flooring is for the most part completed. You know, the last major project we had was the art room over here at the middle school. And I think one of the really cool things is just like the before and after, if you can kind of think back the way that some of those rooms looked before, like the art room, which had like the most dilapidated cabinets, and it had like a 64-inch picture tube TV, which had just, I think, had been abandoned there maybe decades ago, and it was too heavy to get out of there, so it just sat there. I mean, just things like that. Now you go in now, and it's just like the space is just completely different, and I think multiply that over through all the different areas at the middle and high school that we focused on this summer, and they're just really creating these very inviting and up-to-date learning environments for our students. High school paving, I know there's still a little correction that needs to be done as far as some of the directional arrows on the east lot, but that'll get taken care of. But it's, for all intents and purposes, that project is complete. I mentioned this in my community update on Friday, but one of the challenges we found, especially in the east lot, were unsuitable soils once they milled out the old asphalt. All that has been corrected. It did delay the project a couple weeks, and obviously that did cost some more money, but it was done right, and so that should extend the life of the paving project and kind of correct what was probably a historical issue with the foundations underneath the paving not being sound. The student lot, the second lot, went much quicker, and so that project's done. If you were at the high school today, it would have looked like school was back in session. The student government was there. A lot of the sports teams were already there. We obviously have our outstanding teachers, many of whom are already back in their classrooms getting things set up. So the parking lot was like half full today, already a week before staff are even officially supposed to return, which was cool. Pool HVAC, we have temporary occupancy for the pool, and it's been open for, I think, about 3 weeks now. The only reason we don't have permanent occupancy remains the scaffolding that needs to be built on the roof so that the new condenser vents and fans can be serviced. It has nothing to do with the operation of the pool or the HVAC system. All that's working just fine. The smoke detection system was installed and tested and passed, and it's been inspected as well. So everything's working just fine, safe, good to go, but they just need to figure out a solution for servicing the top of the vents on the roof. And so that'll get built in due time, but that project is, for all intents and purposes that anyone in the community would care about, that is complete. And I think I mentioned previously, but just in case, I don't know if we'll talk about this project again, we did put what's called a Bilco hatch on the roof, and what that'll allow is, 30 years from now, I'm sure no one will remember this, but at that time they'll appreciate it. When that system needs to come out, instead of having to cut the hole in the roof and do all the work with steel adjustments and the frame, all those things that we had to pay for and figure out on this project, they'll simply open the hatch, they can pull the old unit out and then put the new one back in, and it'll be considerably less expensive than what we paid to get it done this time. Because again, that system is gigantic, and the pool was literally built around it, and no forethought was put into how do we get the unit out when eventually it needs to get replaced. So we not only have the HVAC updated, but the future replacement of that system has now been planned out. The phone system is also completed, other than just kind of buttoning up some of the I don't even know what you call them, the outlets where the plugs go in. I'm sure there's a technical term that Dave knows, but I can't think of it. But they're moving around the buildings, the district's just finishing those up. That was a extensive project, not only in terms of all the planning that took place over several years, but even the past year with all the cabling infrastructure that was done throughout the district, and then this summer, really, once the cabling was in place, getting the actual phones installed and set up. So I do want to make sure I recognize James Doyen, our tech director. This is a major lift for a tech director. I think anybody who's ever been in that role would tell you, like, the bonds are great, but they kind of fear those, especially if there's a technology aspect to it. It's like adding another job on top of their job. And it's something like, only happened 20, 30, 40 years to do that kind of work. And James led it seamlessly throughout the entire process. It was done on time, on budget, and that'll be a major benefit for our staff and students that'll last decades. They still need, I believe, to take the old cables out. They're not connected to anything anymore, if I remember correctly, so that kind of cleanup work might continue. But everything as of right now is set up. The new digital phone system is fantastic. And it even has like we're still learning the features it can do, but like a new feature now, someone calls 911, there's key personnel in the district that'll get an alert. It says who called it, the room extension, who works in that space. I mean, just all these little features that come with that additional asset. So great work by all with that. And then lastly, the flagship project is Explore. Actually, Betsy and I went out on Friday with the construction team and walked around the project site. A lot of the foundation work is complete. The masons were in today, starting to build the wall, the northernmost wall of the, well, actually no, it's the easternmost wall of the building. And it's kind of cool standing there with the foundations built because you can actually see, here's where the classrooms are going to go, here's where the hallway is. And now with the walls going up, starting to go up, I think we're going to start to see some substantial visual evidence that that project is moving forward after the last several months of just trying to get it out of the ground, as they call it. So it is now, at least in part, out of the ground. So those are kind of a quick synopsis of the bond projects. Some rough edges and loose ends that we have to finish up on all of those, but for the most part, I think we're doing really well, and I think the district's going to be in a lot better shape than it was in the spring as staff and students return. Any questions on those items?
Tell me about the numbers on the parking spots at the high school. Because that was, when I got there, I was like, what's this?
I don't know. That was not part of what we did. My guess is, I saw those today,
Yeah.
and my guess is it has something to do with student government and maybe how they're trying to structure which spot is which.
I was gonna ask.
So
about
that's,
that, too.
yeah, so that's my speculation, but I can.
I was kind of
confirm
surprised
that.
by it because I got there and I was like,
I didn't know about
What's
the
this?
numbers. My
Yeah.
question was if they could decorate, if seniors could still decorate their spots.
Yeah, we're starting to let the students
Okay.
decorate the spots.
But now there's numbers on it.
but
Every
they're
single
gonna
spot.
paint over the numbers, so,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
Well, or maybe not. Maybe they have that planned out. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, as we tell people, it's the kids' school. So,
but you know, it'll be easy for you to
we'll see
remember
how
if you
they-
come and you have to park in one of those spots. Be like, oh, I parked in number 13. You know, I don't know.
maybe you're not
Especially
allowed
if
to
it's
park
not-
in number
if it's not
13.
painted.
I don't know.
I'll confirm, but if I had to guess, that's my speculation that it had something to do with student government.
Yeah, but the parking lot looks great, and all
Oh,
the other
yeah.
projects obviously as well. But it's a big undertaking for the school for sure. Any other questions? Okay. Policy committee.
Policy committee met a couple weeks ago on the 21st. It was a pretty quick meeting. We had a few policies that we went through and made some small adjustments to. The big news of the meeting was basically getting rid of the Title IX enhancements that we wrote out but never actually put into place. So those have all been removed. The only other thing that I'll bring up is we also looked at a contract for school-owned instruments, so similar to what we did for the Chromebooks, to cover the cost of those. And, full policies in your board books.
And Adam, do you want to give context to why we didn't use those Title IX?
Yes, the 2024 Title IX regulations were vacated, and so never went into effect, but because the policies have just been kind of sitting there on the policy manual, unutilized, we felt it was just time to get them back in front of you so they can officially be removed. So they were never actually, they were adopted, put on hold, was vacated, they were never implemented, and pending your approval, they'll just now officially be deleted.
Any other questions for Dave or Adam? Okay, first discussion item is the Board of Education vacancy. We all are aware, and now staff and committee members are now aware that Nancy Deal has resigned from the board. Big loss for our board. She was an employee for several years, then to this board for the last 12 years that she had. And with that comes the opportunity for this board to move forward with that vacancy. This might take a minute to go through because I just want to make sure that we understand our options moving forward. We have two options available to us as board members. The first option is that we can openly post the vacancy and community members then can put their name in and apply, and then we would hold interviews. Those interviews would be public, they would be during a board meeting or a special meeting that we have, and we would, anyone that applies would have to go through that interview process, and then we would appoint from there. If there is not a consensus, I'm sorry, it doesn't have to be consensus, if there is not a majority, then that position vacancy will then go to the ISD, and the ISD then will go through the interview process and can appoint anybody. The second option that this board has in front of us is the opportunity or the option to appoint a past previous board member. I spoke with Brad Vanasek at MASB to hear how he would advise me moving forward and what our options are. And he laid out those two options and said, if you go with the option to appoint a past board member, he feels that that is in our best interest because this is a short amount of time. This is just until December 31st. And if we have a past board member that is willing to step into that role, that is just for a couple of months, I think it's maybe 5 board meetings. Nancy did not sit on any committees, so there's no committees for that person to fill in for. Also, appointing a past board member, they have previous knowledge of how a board works and has worked with superintendents and with board members as well. So I'm going to open it up to a discussion and we can move forward based on how that discussion goes.
I think it makes the most sense to go with a past board member at this point in time. I mean, with the short amount of time that the person will sit in the seat, and we're currently in an election, I mean, it makes the most sense to do that in the interim, in my opinion.
No, and I'm sorry, I just wanted to pause right there because you bring up a good point that Brad brought up from MASB, that if you only have people that are currently on the ballot and then we appoint them, it looks like we are showing favoritism or bias if we appoint them to sit on this board.
Yeah.
So just throwing that information out as well. Anybody else? I'd
Well,
like
it would
to hear.
save us the time it would take to go through the applicants and interview them and all of that for the short time they'd be on the board. So I agree, it makes more sense to appoint a past board member.
Agreed.
I agree. I actually came onto the board through an appointment and went through the whole process where it went to the ISD, and it was a 3-month process, so it doesn't seem to make very much sense to go through that in our short amount of time.
I agree.
I agree, yes.
Okay. So in preparation for this meeting, when I did hear from Brad that that was a valid option to appoint a board member, there is a past board member that is willing to step in if necessary. So that makes me feel comfortable moving forward with that option as well, that we already have somebody in case we choose that option. Now, it sounds like that is the option moving forward that we would like to pursue. And now what needs to happen is there needs to be a suspension of our bylaws. And Brad has helped with what that looks like. He's very familiar with our policy because it's actually a MASB policy. policy that he wrote. So he's very familiar with our policy. He brought it up right away in conversation and advised moving forward that we would have to suspend our bylaws in order to do that, and then we could then appoint and then move forward with that. So if that is what we would like to do, there would need to be a motion to amend the agenda to put that on for action under roll call this evening.
Move that we amend the agenda to add suspending bylaws to section 8B, roll call.
Second?
Motion by Dave, second by Chris. Any discussion? Okay, Deb, can you take us through roll call for that, please?
Chris?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Deborah, yes. Heather?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Can I do a test and just turn the volume up on the speakers? just a
Yes,
touch?
yes. You seem to have some volume issues. Is it because they can't, somebody said they can't hear me? Because that's very.
No, they're all a little different.
I did bring my mic closer to me this evening, just so everyone is aware. Okay, so as Adam looks to adjust the volume, Betsy, you got that? It's under roll call. Thank you. So that will come up later on this evening. Next is the proposed 2026-27 adult meal prices, which, it's okay.
Just doing some trial and error testing tonight with the mic volume system. So, meal prices for staff, there's a minimum requirement that we charge in order to be in compliance with the regulations around food service. Part one of those regulations involves a minimum price that we have to charge faculty or staff for eating breakfast and lunch at school. They do check this. We had our food service audit, actually a couple of them this past spring, and they actually caught, one of the findings was that we were charging staff less than the minimum requirement. Now, that was a pure oversight in that we didn't report to them that the tax. So once we added tax, we met the threshold, but we had to challenge the finding, and they did just throw it out. But they do look at this, so that's, I guess, kind of the point here. So in order to maintain that minimum threshold, we're bringing just a slight increase to breakfast and lunch prices for staff to make sure that the district continues to be in compliance with food service regulations.
Any questions?
Do you have any idea how many staff take advantage of that?
I don't, but I can find out for you.
I have a question about, maybe a little off topic, but maybe also still on. Do we, at the high school or even at the middle school, have like a coffee bar or something that students can get like before school starts?
So this has been a goal of mine for a long time, and we actually did not talk about this ahead of the meeting.
No.
But yeah, this has been a goal of mine for a long time to set up a coffee bar for our high school students. And it kind of went along with like the new furniture we got for the commons area, where there's kind of like a coffee shop feel with some of the high tops and the little bar stools that they have there. And we know, I believe there to be a market for it, just anecdotally based on the number of high school kids I see walking with coffees in the morning. There are, again, a never-ending amount of regulations in all parts of education, but that includes nutrition and food service. And so that's been one of the hurdles we've been trying to figure out, is how to provide that, but then also stay in compliance with the regulations. So this has been a bit of a homework assignment. Wendy Gladhill, who's our assistant food service director, spent most of last year researching this and going through all the tons of regulations and calling some other districts and trying to figure out how to make it work. We think we're really close to having that hopefully this school year. There's still a couple things we're trying to figure out. And it would seem like this was very easy to do, but it's not, right? Because everything is regulated. So the amount of coffee they get, the size cup we provide, what kind of stuff they're allowed to put into the coffee once we've provided it to them, right? So all this is regulated. So just like people think student count day is literally just counting up the number of kids and sending it in, it's not. It takes a month at least to get that done. Serving coffee to high school students is a major endeavor, but I think we're getting pretty close to figuring it out. So it's probably a longer answer than you were looking for, but
No, I know that there's a market for it.
it is something
Judging
that
by
I've been
my
trying to
tab
do.
at a local coffee
Yeah,
place.
yeah. So anyway, more to follow, but I'm hopeful that we've cracked the code on getting that set up
That's
and
exciting.
staying compliant with regulations.
Well, not only our students, but our staff could appreciate that as well. So. All right. Board policies to add, revise, rewrite, and vacate date.
Yeah, so again, mostly some minor changes. Student identification cards was adopting a policy that's just what the requirements are. I mentioned the instrument contract. Revisions, again, mostly small, and then we're going to be removing quite a few of the Title IX ones that, like Adam said, were written and then suspended immediately.
Any questions for Dave? All right, we will put all of these discussion items on for next board meeting. If you have any questions between now and I believe the 24th, please reach out to get those questions answered.
Let me do it quick.
Yep.
I just want to thank the policy committee. I think the work they did last year was the record for the number of policies reviewed in 1 year, which is saying something for us, because I think we've been going after it pretty intensively. I don't know, it was like a fifth of the policies, fourth of the policies, somewhere in that ballpark that were reviewed in some way last year. So really appreciate the work of that group. And like I told them, I think maybe we can slow it down a little bit this year, and we're just hopefully now in a maintenance role versus catch-up role, which we've been at for quite a while.
Very well done, Dave, and the policy committee.
Thank you.
Action items. May I please get a motion for approval of the meeting for the special meeting held on July 27th?
Move that the Williamston Board of Education approve the minutes for the special meeting held on July 27th, 2026, as presented.
Second.
Motion by Dave, second by Heather. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. May I please get a motion, this is a roll call item, for the Board of Education vacancy.
Whereas the school board has adopted bylaw 1170 that provides a process for filling a vacancy on the school board, and 2, bylaw 1170 includes the following procedures for filling a vacancy. The board president, through a press release to local media outlets, email correspondence to district stakeholders, an announcement on the district homepage, and a posting at the administrative offices shall make known the vacancy has occurred, and those persons interested in being considered for the appointment should notify the president of the board in writing by the deadline established. The board shall establish the criteria used in making the appointment. The full board or a committee appointed by the board shall review and screen applications to determine which candidates should be further considered for appointment. Those candidates screened for further consideration shall be interviewed by the board in public session unless the candidate requests confidentiality as provided in state law. The school board has a vacancy for a term that expires on December 31st, 2026, and due to the circumstances related to the current vacancy, the board believes that it is in the best interest of the school board and compelling reasons exist to fill the vacancy without following the procedures identified by bylaw 1170. And bylaw 1580 provides that the school board may temporarily suspend the operation of a bylaw by a majority vote of its members, with the suspension not relieving the school board from complying with applicable law, and the school board shall at all times comply with applicable law when filling a vacancy. Be it resolved that the school board suspends bylaw 1170 until August 31st, 2026, to allow the school board to fill a school board vacancy without following the bylaws procedures.
Second.
Motion by Chris, second by Deb. Any discussion? Please take us through roll call, Deb.
Chris?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Deborah, yes. Heather?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, and that will be, because there was discussion around this topic at this meeting, it will be up for action for appointment of previous board member at the next meeting. Separate action items, can I please get a motion for the resolution letter opposing ITC high voltage power line routes?
I make a motion that the Williamston Community Schools Board of Education approve the letter opposing ITC high voltage power line routes that are proposed to be built on the edge of school district property. Also approving a letter to the Williamston Township trustees advocating a well-planned and systemic approach to adding housing inventory within the Williamston community.
Second.
Motion by Amanda, second by Dave. Any discussion?
Thank you for your working to get this done quickly. You were good.
Yes, there were, Adam put in a lot of work on this on the back end, as well as consultation with some other representatives. So thank you for that. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, motion passes. We do have review of board goals. And then we do have some correspondence, resignation letters, one being Nancy Deal. She wrote a really powerful, very meaningful resignation letter, and I know that staff members also have reached out to me saying how sad they are that she will no longer be sitting on this board, but her voice, again, will still be within the community and supporting teachers, students, and supporting this board and this district moving forward. Any other citizens that would like to address the board? This is now an opportunity. Seeing none, I will take board member reports and requests. Really? Okay, I look forward to seeing everybody Monday for opening day. It's always a mix of emotions to see staff. Of course, you have some that are really, really excited, but there are also some that will be missing summer and the realization that comes with that. So I'm always super sensitive when I see staff and summer starts to wind down. I personally know from experience, of course, being a parent, but also an educator at the same time. I love my job, but I'm not really ready to come back either. So, but it will be exciting to see not only familiar faces that we saw tonight, but many familiar faces that we've hired throughout the summer and returning staff that will be there on Monday. And with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Chris, second by Deb. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.